Standing Simmer here today, and welcome back to the channel for a really cool speed build that I'm super excited to share with you guys. Now this is a speed build that I've referenced in at least one other video this week, and so just sit down, buckle up, prepare yourselves for a very large speed build. Now, based on the size of this video, you might not think that this is really going to be all too bad, but I promise you guys, it's going to be a long build because this is the first two-part speed build that will ever come to my channel. Well, I say that wrong, actually. It's the first one to ever come to my channel, but I'm not going to say it's the last one that will ever come to my channel. To be honest with you, I had initially not even thought I was going to be sharing this in two parts, but I ran a poll over on Twitter and I asked you guys, at least those of you who are over on Twitter, whether with really big builds, my exact wording was something along the lines of like, with really big builds, those who end up with like hours and hours of footage, do you guys prefer to see them in two parts or in one like really long video, like we're talking 40 minutes or something like that? Or would you like to see one pretty heavily cut video? And so the two-part builds won out by a pretty narrow margin, actually. According to the polls, about 41% of the people who voted in the poll said two parts works for me, and then 33% said one heavily cut video, which kind of had me in a little bit of a crisis when I saw the final results of this poll, guys, because to be honest, those are two very different results. Like, we're talking about 2 versus 1, a lot of content versus like just the highlights of content, more or less. But long story short, you know, I ran the poll because I wanted to know what the majority of you guys thought, and the majority thought that a two-part speed build would be the way to go. So I was very, you know, kind of iffy on this at first because once again, it's the first time I've ever tried to do this on the channel, and I have no idea what you, like my viewer base more or less, is kind of prefers to see, I guess you could say. But like I said, following the results of the poll, you know, that's kind of the consensus. So I hope that you awesome viewer who is viewing this right now halfway agrees at least, and that you don't mind that this is going to be a two-part speed build. The main reason that I tend to shy away from two-part speed builds is that I like to see everything start to finish in a single speed build. I like to open up a speed build and know that it's going to be done and finished and good to go by the time I finish watching it, start to finish. So I know with some builds that's also a little bit unrealistic. Builds like this one in particular, which just ends up being such a big build, which I promise I will actually talk about here in just a second. But I don't know, it was just such a massive speed build that I'm sort of kind of glad that I had the opportunity to split it into two parts because there's so much more of it that I'm able to show you as a result. And so I hope that you guys, you know, once again, you awesome viewer who is watching this at the moment, also agree that watching this in two parts won't be that big of a deal. So the first part, as you might have guessed by the title, at least I think at this point I'm going to be putting this in the title, the first part of this speed build is going to focus primarily on the entire exterior of the house as well as the landscaping. There will be no screenshots at the end, just a little heads up there, because in the second part of this speed build that will be coming out, my goal is a little bit, in a few days time, I'm thinking early next week. This build should be going up on a Thursday in case you're watching it, you know, more or less real time, and I'm thinking that by next Tuesday I will have part 2 up. Mainly because I already have videos planned for the next couple of days, and I normally take Sunday, Monday off. And so yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So just a heads up as to when I'm expecting the next part to be out so that we can round off the speed build. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're going for today. Once again, I hope you guys don't mind. I hope you like what you see so far of the speed build. Now I get to do the fun part, which is me talking about what I really was inspired by when it came to actually putting this together. So for a very long time now, I have wanted to build something big. I've wanted to build something. Now, guys, this is actually a 50 by 50 lot. This is not even the very largest of the lots that you can build on in The Sims 4, which of course is a 64 by 64. But this is a 50 by 50. Once again, it never built on anything quite so large in the past, so this is a brand new experience for me. I've been wanting to build a pretty large mansion-style family home. And here recently, there are a couple of particular simmers who've kind of inspired me to build on this lot and to build kind of in this style, I guess you could say. So I definitely want to give those guys a shout out because I don't know, I feel like it's important to like share where you get your inspiration. Like, guys, a lot of what I do doesn't really come out of my own head. Some of it does, especially when it comes to making storylines for my own personal gameplay, which I share with you guys on occasion in the form of like current households and things like that. But the vast majority of my builds and things like that have come from some kind of inspiration, whether from, I don't know, an inspiration photo on Pinterest or something that I saw in someone else's speed build. And I try to draw elements of inspiration from a lot of things that are around me. So I really can never say that I come up with a lot of the stuff in isolation. On the rare occasion, I might be able to say that, but definitely not this case. So that's definitely not what's going on here. So the amazing simmers who have inspired me to put together this particular speed build are Claire Siobhan and Deligracy. Now guys, I know I am shouting out to massive YouTubers in the simming community. I know that might be like, oh, a little cliche, Mariah, you know, you're talking about two really big YouTubers, everyone watches them, you know, you're no different. But yeah, that really is the case though, because I have been watching Deligracy for a long time, and she was actually the first Sims YouTuber that I ever watched anything by. Very first one. She was the person who, like, hands down got me into playing The Sims. Like, I really cannot speak more highly of her influence in me picking up The Sims 4. I just can't. Like, she's amazing. She, as a lot of you guys know, did a Barbie LP back in the day. And now we're not talking about her current Barbie LP. She does a Barbie LP right now that's like I forget if it's called Dream Life. I think it's called Dream Life. I think I could be wrong because I don't actually watch the show that she bases the LP around, but I think that that's kind of the general idea there, like I said, if I'm not mistaken. So she had a Barbie LP back in the day that ran for 3 seasons, where she began with Barbie, who of course got married to Ken as a Sim, and then they had like 10 children. Like, spoiler alert, they had like 10 kids. It was crazy, ridiculous, but amazing because it was such a good LP. Once again, ran for like 3 seasons. And the whole reason I'm bringing this up at all, guys, which a lot of you by now might be like, okay, Mariah, get to the point. You've been rambling about this for a while, let's get to the point. But the reason I bring it up at all is that I think that this lot, this particular Oakenstead lot, may be the original lot where she built the Barbie house that her family started in. And I've always looked at that house and that lot and thought, gosh, what a gorgeous place in Willow Creek, because I have never lived or had a Sim family live on any of the large lots in Willow Creek. We've always done like the little itty bitty tiny ones, like starter houses, regular sized family homes, but never mansions on the larger lots. So ever since I saw Deligracy's Barbie LP, the original one, I have kind of wanted to build on this lot. Guys, I could be totally wrong. This might not even be the right lot. Like, this could totally be the wrong lot compared to what I'm talking about, but I'm fairly certain, based on like the kind of circular drive in the front and the landscaping in the back, that this is the same one. Once again, I could be wrong, but either way, we're talking about a large lot in Willow Creek. And I already mentioned Claire Siobhan, who was the other person who really kind of influenced me to build this particular style of house on this lot. She has a series as well, and it's called Dream House, where she started with her sim self and her boyfriend's sim self, and ever since then has like played with this family as it's grown and grown, and it's grown so much that the family has actually split off into their own separate series that she plays in rotation. And guys, I don't know how I had not really come across Claire Siobhan prior to just like a couple of weeks ago, but I literally had no idea that she existed as a YouTuber. But before I start to talk about a bunch of randomness when it comes to her as a YouTuber, she, like I said, the Dream House LP that she has on her channel is originally centered around this lot in a house that she built that was her dream house at the time on this lot. And so her dream house is a very brick but traditional yet also modern looking type build, if that makes any sense whatsoever. And so she's played with it in like hundreds of episodes up until this point. And I just was looking at the house the other day and thinking, I want to build something large so badly, and I just love the way that that style looks. I just love the way it looks. It looks great. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's large. It's open. It has just the right mixture of, like I said, old-fashioned and traditional, but also a bit of modern thrown in there as well. So that's kind of where, long story short, guys, like we've been rambling about this for like nearly 10 minutes now. By we, I mean me. But we've been talking about this for a bit. But long story short, that is kind of where I drew the inspiration from when it came to building this house. So I wanted to build something big. I have for a while. The influence of both the Simmers I mentioned, both lovely YouTubers. If I remember, I'll link their channels in the description down below, which is kind of a joke because you guys probably already know who they are already. But just in case you don't, they'll be in the description if I remember. But they both have done LPs, at least I believe so, on this particular lot. And the style of the house that was built by Claire Chabon is the specific influence for the style of the house I'm going for right now. So as you guys can see, we have already moved on past the entirety of the exterior building, and there is a reasonable amount of skipping throughout this build because I really didn't want to show you guys like the constant struggle of me trying to figure out like exactly where everything was going to go and how the exact shape of the exterior came together, but I tried to show you a lot of the major bits. And of course, I did cut out entirely the wallpapering of the outside of this house because at the point that I built this house, guys, we were still having the awful, we were like the build lag saga of 2018. It was still going on. Thankfully, at the date of this recording, we have just recently had a patch in the last day or so that, to the best of my knowledge, has completely fixed that issue. I have tested it myself, but, you know, I haven't tested it in a variety of situations, so fingers crossed that is totally resolved and we don't have to worry about it anymore. But yeah, anyways, for some reason, guys, I'm sorry in advance, and I'm sorry for the noises that you've probably been hearing already. For some reason, like, I don't know, some of my neighbors have decided to have like a drag race on the road outside my house, and I complained about this road like quite a few times. It happens every couple of speed build videos and occasionally during my LPs as well, because I have tried to record in a variety of different times of day with no luck as to like when the noise of the traffic is less compared to other times of the day. I don't know. I hope you guys don't mind too much. I hope it's not too ridiculously loud or that it's not too annoying, but sometimes I ignore it entirely. Other times I feel the need to point it out because I just feel like I have to apologize. I don't know. It's so loud. Anyways, so yeah, we are just doing the entire exterior of this house, and like I said, I skipped through all of the wallpapering and a lot of like the detail placing because I didn't want you guys to have to watch the lag and all of the mess that came as a result of that. To be honest with you guys, I do not know what was wrong with my brain and why I decided to put together such a large house, the largest house which I've ever attempted to build during a time where build mode was the laggiest it has ever been for me. Like, we're talking, it was laggier during this, like I said, I think we should, you know, hashtag build saga or build lag saga of 2018. I think that should be a thing. Let's get it trending on Twitter, guys. But yeah, I think that I'm not sure exactly what was going on in my brain when I decided that this was the sort of thing I wanted to build. So large, so monstrous, with such a that would normally pose kind of a pull on my computer. I don't know why I decided to put this together on, you know, during such a time as that, but I did because I was struck with the inspiration. And guys, if you guys are builders, then you know what I mean when I say this, but when you're struck with the inspiration to build, sometimes it's really just a better idea to just grab that inspiration and run with it, and don't stop running until you have moved into the build, like until you have done what you want to do. So yeah, that's my little word of advice, I guess, for the day. If you are a builder and if you are kind of wanting to get into building a little bit more, or if you're, you know, struggling with inspiration some of the time, is that if you, you know, obviously sometimes you kind of have to just get in the game and quote unquote force the inspiration. I hesitate to even say that, but sometimes I found that when I get in the game and I just start building something, the inspiration will come as a result of that. But on the rare occasion that I go in, like I'm just out and about and I'm doing my everyday thing, or I'm watching videos, or whatever I'm doing, I find that if I'm struck with inspiration to build, guys, and I have the ability to do so, I better just get in the game and do it, because if I don't, then I'll lose it, and I really don't want to do that because, again, it happens so rarely. But guys, I apologize in advance if this voiceover is like ridiculous, because I feel like a little bit of a mess right now, and I hate that because in the last build voiceover I did, which was my apartment renovation that happened earlier in the week, I also expressed feelings of feeling like a little bit of a mess. At the time, I was, you know, I was following my shift at work, I was before going to other things happening later in the day. And I'm kind of in a similar situation right now, guys. I just got off work a little while ago. I have stuff going on later tonight, and I really want to get this voiceover recorded so that I can upload this video for you guys. In fact, I'm actually recording this voiceover the night before the build is supposed to go up, which is cutting it almost as close, I think, as I've ever come in a build voiceover. I normally try to do these things like days and days and days in advance, but I don't know, sometimes my schedule just doesn't allow that to happen, which I feel like is somewhat understandable. But for some reason, the just getting around to getting over here to my computer and recording this voiceover has taken some doing. But we're finally here, although I feel like a little bit of a mess, so I hope you guys don't mind that I feel a little crazy, and that's probably coming out in spades during this build voiceover. But I'm really excited to show you guys the interior of this build as well, which I know that, once again, that's not even happening in this build, which is kind of weird for me. I keep watching this footage that's kind of like unfolding on the screen in front of me, thinking, okay, we're gonna get to the interior at any point, right? Like, that's just about to happen, right, Mariah? But no. This is strictly, build exterior and landscaping, like I said earlier in the video. So yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy that I decided to put a little bit more thought and time into showing you guys what happens on the exterior of the house, especially considering it's so large. And I know, in my mind, it's one of the more detailed lots I think I've ever done, despite the fact that it is so large. I'm actually super proud with how it turned out. And I actually got to show you guys like a ton of the landscaping and all that kind of stuff too, which is actually pretty rare for me. Landscaping is one of those things I don't normally keep in unless I happen to, be building something relatively small and it's not going to take up a whole lot of time. So landscaping is actually one of the first things to go in a lot of my build voiceovers, and, well, my build editing, I guess you could say, because I don't feel like it's something that, everyone necessarily likes to watch, and for the most part, it does tend to be a bit repetitive as well. So in my mind, that gets it, automatically cut out, like, almost right off the bat. But I was really excited to take the time to share it with you guys. Now, not that I didn't cut out, any pieces of it. There are small pieces of it that did get cut out, mainly because, once again, very repetitive. I'm pretty much doing the same thing all around the house. Like, we're talking placing down those low-lying pale yellow flowers. And I think the hydrangea bushes is another thing I used a lot in this build. I also popped some of those really pretty multicolored wildflowers in here just for some color. And then last but not least, we have like those fern plants as well, which I think look really nice. Added a little bit of a different something to the build, which I'm excited to have been able to throw in there as well. So yeah, guys, I once again am sorry for being such a crazed mess today. Today was a really weird day at work. I don't know, I feel like you can really enjoy your job and love what you do every day you do it and still have issues from time to time. I feel like that's a pretty normal thing. Here recently, I've been having some issues with some coworkers, and I feel like some days I go into work and things are amazing, things are super good, and I'm super sorry, guys, if you don't even want to hear this. Like, if you're like, Mariah, just stick to the build, don't talk about your personal life, we don't care. But I know from experience in watching other people's speed builds that I do kind of like it every once in a while when they break away from the build and they talk about something that's happening in their lives. Guys, and this is just what's on my mind right now, so I hope y'all don't mind. But I don't know. I've been having a little bit of difficulty with a particular coworker at work here recently, and every once in a while I just get home from work and, just kind of feel sad and kind of want to cry sometimes, but it's fine. But once again, it's not a matter of like not really enjoying what I do. It's just, sometimes just the people that you work with aren't necessarily the greatest, but again, I feel like that's kind of the case no matter where you are or where you work, because, you're always gonna have people who act like people, and I don't think you can really do anything about that. But you know what, guys, if I've learned anything from this situation and other situations in my life, it's that you can't really control the actions of the people around you. In fact, you definitely can't control their actions of the people around you, but you can control the way that you respond to them. So that's what I'm working on right now, guys, trying to keep a positive attitude and trying to maintain like a nice personality, and the thing that I feel like is important to me, being nice, and we're just going from there, I guess. So guys, we're about to finish up this build, so I hope you join me for part 2 here coming up very, very soon, and I can't wait to see you there. Hope you're having the best of days, and I will see you very soon. Bye!